Good evening and welcome to the public hearing on the inclusion of the agricultural district to be held in Putnam County Legislature this evening for July 1st. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and let's stand on honor. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
District 1, Legislator Montgomery.
Present.
District 2, Legislator Lewis.
Present.
District 3, Legislator Adamson. District 4, Legislator Russo.
Present.
District 5, Legislator Adams.
Here.
District 6, Legislator Young.
Present.
District 7, Legislator Birmingham. District 9, Legislator Crowley.
Present.
District 8, Chairwoman Sayegh.
Present. I'd like to ask the clerk of the legislature to please read the public notice.
Notice is hereby given that pursuant to Article 25AA of the Agriculture and Markets Law of the State of New York, Section 303A, that one or more requests have been received by the Putnam County Legislature for inclusion of predominantly viable agricultural land within the Putnam County Certified Agricultural District. Further notice is hereby given that the Putnam County Legislature and Farmland Protection Board has considered the request for inclusion and reported which parcels for inclusion would serve the public interest by assisting in maintaining a viable agricultural industry within the district. Further notice is hereby given that the parcels requested for inclusion are Town of Kent, Bowen Farm, LLC, Robert Wire Jr., tax map number 12.3-71, 26.73 acres. Tax map number 22.1-15, 40 acres. Total acreage 66.73. The 40-acre parcel is rented and working in the agricultural district. Town of Patterson, Lobster Hill Farm, Jessica and Andrew Jarrett. Tax map number 35.4-56, 22.49 acres. Total acreage 22.49 acres. Mother and Daughter Farm, Peter Clark and Martha Cowell. Tax map number 34.3-1.40, 15.50 acres. 25 acres. Total acreage 15.5. Town of Putnam Valley, Big Red Barn Farm, Joey Mancuso. Tax map number 72.16-1-1, 67.05 acres. Total acreage 60.7.05. Clara Tunda Farm, Olivia and David Walker. Tax map number 72.12-1-6, 1.7 acres. Total acreage 1.7. Cucumber Hill Farm, Olivia and Andy Walker. Tax map, Justin Baker. Tax map number 84.2-41, 28.85 acres. Total acreage 28.85. The Rush Family Farm, Francis W. Rush III, tax map number 83.20-1-6, 33 acres, total acreage 34. Town of Southeast, Artemis Farm, Christoph Landon, tax map 57.2-47, 71.56 acres. Tax map number 57.3-17, 68.403 acres. This parcel does not exist and was not included in the total acreage. And tax map number 57.2-46.1, 67.26 acres. Total acreage 138.82. The other two parcels are already in the agricultural district. Barn Dog LLC, Wendy Chinesky, tax map number 80.1-3.1, 28.01 acres. Tax map number 80.1-3.2, 32.38 acres. Tax map number 80.1-3.3, 5 acres. Total acreage 65.41 acres. Lobster Hill Farm, Jessica and Jarrett, tax map number 35.1-10, 56.13 acres. total acreage 56.13. Rainmaker Farm, Harold Leffler, tax map number 58.1-34.2, 107.58. Total acreage 170. White Oak Apiary, Michael Bruin, tax map number 57.2-46.2, 1.14 acres. Total acreage 1.4. Total acreage in petition, 604.4 acres. Further notice is hereby given that the public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July 1st, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. in the Historic Courthouse, Putnam, New York, to consider these requests for inclusions and recommendations of the Putnam County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board and the Physical Services Committee by order of the Putnam County Legislature.
Thank you. I'll now read the procedures for public comment at this public hearing. The members of the Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board have visited all parcels that have been requested to be included in the agricultural district and reported which, if any, parcels should be included. These recommendations have been reviewed and considered by our Physical Services Committee. Anyone wishing to speak regarding the petitions for inclusion into the agricultural district should come up to the microphone, state their name and the town in which they reside. There will be no cross-discussion with the members of the legislature. This is our opportunity to hear from the public, and legislators will have their opportunity to discuss the applications before voting on them at the meeting of the full legislature immediately following this hearing. If you do have a question, please leave your name and contact information with the clerk, and we will get back to you promptly. Now we'll move on to agenda item number 5, public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to comment?
Just look up.
Yep, and again, write your, state your name and the town in which you reside, and write it in the ledger.
Yep. My name is Christine Stassi. I reside in the Southeast. I wanted to make you aware that the department, according to the New York State Department of Agricultural Markets, the use of the phrase startup farm is reserved for use by the department in determining if a farm may be afforded protections under the Agriculture and Markets Law. I sent legislator Elmer a highlighted form of the definitions, and in those definitions, there is nowhere does it say startup farm. Additionally, farms that are requested to be let in as commercial horse boarding facilities or commercial equine facilities must have 10 horses within a calendar year on the farm and consist of minimum 7 acres. Rainmaker East was applying as a breeding farm. There was no infrastructure on the farm when we had the site visit. There were no horses on the farm when we had the site visit. The Ag Board unanimously voted no on that one. And as far as barn dog farm is considered, so there's barn dog and barn dog 2. Barn dog 2 is a separate LLC from barn dog. And even though they have the same principle, it's still considered for ag district inclusion, it's considered 2 separate entities. And we were not voting on barn dog 2, we were voting on barn dog. Again, they had no horses on the property. They did have most of the buildings completed, and even in their application, they stated that it would be ready for occupation at the end of the summer of 2025. There were no horses present, there were no paddocks put up, and this was the only vote that was not unanimous. So there was some discussion about including barn dog in the agricultural district. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yes, I believe this is that I will fill that afterwards. James Blaine, holding LLC and authority for Rainmaker Farm East and also for Putnam LLC. So I'll start off with discussing Barndock LLC. Ms. Masazi mentioned that there was not a unanimous vote. However, I would like to note that there was the Farmland Protection Board did vote to include Barndock LLC. So even though 2 members of the board had not agreed with that vote was for inclusion of the LLC, and the Physical Service Committee also voted for inclusion of that parcel into those 3 parcels into the agricultural district. They're currently on site. There is substantial completion of construction of a 42-stall barn. There is a haying operation that meets the income requirements to be included without even that boarding stable being up and running. As Ms. Masazi mentioned, there is the owner of the property is the same owner as 2 other farms within the Putnam County, which is Barndog as well as Ebell Farm, and also owns a parcel in Dutchess County that is in an agricultural district and is also part of the operation. The operation includes both commercial boarding and haying operations. The definition of a commercial equestrian operation and a commercial boarding stable includes use within the first year of operation. This operation will have horses on site within this year. There is no reason not to include it into the agricultural district at this point in time. The building is substantially completed. The owner of the property has complied with all zoning requirements in order to get that substantial completion. They went to the planning board, they got site plan approval, they did everything that they needed to. There's no attempts to get around any kind of zoning analysis by applying to the agricultural district at this point. If you've seen from the application, this is a parcel that is substantially completed as a large, beautiful operation within Putnam County, New York. So a startup operation is directly, the Ag and Market Department has said startup operation can be included in the Ag District, and they have protections for startup operations for this very reason, for parcels like this, where you have a property owner who has substantially completed construction, has complied with all requirements, and especially in a situation like this, where it's really, I use the term startup, but it's really more akin to a new property being added by an existing owner, because as I stated, this owner has 2 other properties in Putnam County that are already up and running as farm operations. The fact that the ownership is in a separate LLC is purely for liability purposes, and the beneficial owner of the property is the one principal who owns all 3 properties within Putnam County, New York. As I stated, she also owns property in Dutchess County, all of which are active and ongoing farm operations. But even if you question the equestrian operation on site, the haying operation in and of itself would qualify the property for an agriculture, to be included in the agricultural district. It makes the income requirements, it has the acreage, and it would meet all requirements. Are there any questions on that parcel or that operation that you'd like to ask?
This is not a back and forth like the Physical Services Committee. This is just a hearing, so we're listening to what you have to say.
Okay. I understand that, counsel for the county was looking into the startup question, so and I know at the meeting that they stated that startup operations would qualify, and we do have to review every startup operation on an independent basis. Comparing this to another startup operation with an owner who has never owned farmland, does not currently have a farm operation that's up and running, does not meet the income requirements, is very different than what the situation is here in front of you tonight. As far as Rainmaker East, this was discussed at the Physical Service Committee. I understand that the Agricultural Farmland and Protection Board did not recommend inclusion, but as we discussed at the Physical Service Committee, this is really more akin to a new property being added by an owner that has already shown for the past 40 years that he has an active farming operation within Putnam County, New York. This is a breeding operation that is being requested for admission. The applicant for 20 years has met all income requirements for a farming operation, and this is a farm operation that has never ceased. It has just moved out of Putnam for a short period of time in order for a new property to be developed. The application, as indicated in the last one, is exactly what agriculture and markets is looking to protect. It is a new operation of here if you like, you can speak more to the development of those things. But this is an operation that's going to be up and running within a couple of months. As the entire Farmland Protection Board indicated at their meeting after the site visit, no one questions that this is going to be an active and running farm operation within a very short time. And as I indicated, the horses have always belonged to Mr. Ludmore, and this operation has continued. There was a breeding contract that was submitted as part of the application to show that this operation has never ceased since moving from the property on Jones Hill Road to making this new transition to Federal Road. This is exactly what we've been trying to get into Putnam County. This is an applicant who has had a reign of establishment breeding reining horses, champion reining horses for 20 years. And this is an application where we're not asking you to get around different zoning requirements. The applicant has already obtained the permits necessary. There's no violations on the property. He's done everything he needs to continue this active farm operation. Howard, is there anything else you want to add to that? So that's, I don't know if council wants to speak at all to startup operations, or if there are any questions like that, or if you will have those conversations outside of this meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a while. Nice to see you all. Lynn at Putnam, Southeast. I do have a few questions. I've been having questions about Putnam State and Farm, but I never will play with you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. It is true, Barn Dog Farm went through on the planning board in Southeast, so that's absolutely accurate. Greenacre has not, and I understand that it's been in business for a long time, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think you set precedent when you approve something prior to it being built. And I do think it's really important for you to see, have your representatives minimally see an operation in its entirety and how it was. I'm sure Mr. Lepore will do a fabulous job. I just think it's precedent setting, not a good idea. My other observation is right up the area because it's on 1.14 acres. I believe there is another parcel in town, but I'm not sure it's owned by the same person, very same like a brewing. And of course, setting precedent has been our concern in Southeast as far as letting properties in that are under the 7 acres. So I have concerns about that as well. I'm hoping that those who get into the district will be assets to the whole community. I'm very pro-farming. I'm just not pro when they do things. We're more of a suburban area now, as you all know, and my concern always is that having a farm near you can be difficult. It can be wonderful, but it can be difficult. So thank you tonight for your attention to all these matters.
Thank you.
Good evening, legislators. My name is Crystal Stoll, and I'm a resident of Putnam Valley, Vice President of Putnam Valley Range. 2 weeks ago, I stood before many of you to champion the critical cause of startups and their rightful place within our agricultural district, specifically urging your affirmative vote for Clara Patuga Farm. Tonight, I return not merely to reiterate, but to deepen that dialogue, emphasizing why this decision is not just about one farm, but about the very future of agriculture in Putnam County. As you are now intimately familiar, inclusion into the Ag District is governed by 2 and only 2 statutory factors. 1, whether the land consists predominantly of viable agricultural land, as defined by the Ag District article, and 2, whether its inclusion would serve the public interest by assisting in maintaining a viable agricultural industry within the district. Viable agricultural land, as legally defined, means land highly suitable for a farm operation. Clara Patuga Farm, with its diverse selection of apples, pears, peaches, plums, elderberries, mulberries, blueberries, and honey, certainly meets this definition. Its active production of fresh fruits and locally produced honey is a clear demonstration of viable agricultural activity. Furthermore, this farm's commitment to sustainable practices and providing our community with access to clean, healthy food directly and powerfully serves the public interest. The conclusion is therefore undeniable. Putnam Farm should be included in the agricultural district. Beyond the core statutes, the Department of Agriculture and Markets has issued authoritative guidance documents specifically addressing the assessment of startup farm operations and providing for startup farm periods. These provisions are not mere suggestions. They are explicit expectations that municipalities grant new farms a reasonable period to establish their operations and crop production. A 2-year startup period is recommended for apiaries and a 3 to 5 year period for orchards and berries. Putnam Farm, currently in its early developmental stages, requires precisely this type of supportive period to mature and enhance its yields. To be absolutely clear, this guidance does not justify delaying Putnam Farm's inclusion. On the contrary, this farm, and indeed all emerging farms, would profoundly benefit from immediate inclusion to secure vital protections under ag and markets law, safeguards that are especially critical to startup operations as their crops become fully established and as their businesses grow. These same guidance documents compel us to consider additional factors when assessing startup farms, including the landowner's intent, the time and effort spent on farming, and whether the landowner possesses the necessary knowledge to build a successful farming business. As you know, the owner of Putnam Farm holds a bachelor's degree in agriculture, featuring extensive coursework in agricultural marketing, agricultural law, environmental law, and agricultural education. This robust academic background is complemented by invaluable practical farming experience from Green Chimney's Organic Farm. He has also submitted a comprehensive business plan with his application, demonstrating a clear vision for his farm's expansion. In summary, the owner is not just interested. He is exceptionally well equipped with the knowledge, training, experience, and determination to effectively execute his business strategy, unequivocally qualifying Putnam Farm for ag district inclusion. Your affirmative vote tonight would not only align perfectly with the intent of the ag and markets law, but would also directly support the promotion and vital protection of a promising startup family farm in our community. Thank you for giving careful thought to these critical arguments. We understand the weight of your decisions, and should you ultimately decide against the immediate inclusion of Putnam Farm tonight, we respect your decision and the legislative process. That said, we sincerely hope that this conversation marks the beginning of a continuous and proactive dialogue about the agricultural district inclusion criteria, particularly as they relate to startup farms. Ensuring clear, equitable, and supportive pathways for these emerging agricultural businesses is not just beneficial, it is absolutely vital for the enduring health and future of farming in Putnam County. Thank you for your time and your dedication to this community. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I want to say thank you to the legislators who have been with us for the last year, who have supported and pushed very hard to get us where we got to today.
Can you state your name for them?
My apologies. I wrote
Correct.
Andrew Garrett, out of Southeast. Obviously, as we all know, this has been quite the last year of a lot of back and forth, but I think we can all agree that we've gotten to a very good place with agriculture. While there's more to go, I think we are taking the right step in this direction. I do want to say, just for a little more of what my wife and I do at Trail Farm and where we have simply grown this last year, is that we were in 4 farmers markets last year selling our locally raised meat and eggs and other products. And at the time last year, 3 out of those 4 were here in Putnam County. We have wanted to do nothing more than support the people of Putnam County by providing them locally raised nutritious food. This year alone, really the last few weeks since markets have started, we have doubled that. So we're in a total of 8 farmers markets between Putnam County and northern Westchester County. We're doing nothing more than what we set out to do, which is to provide local food to the community. I hope that we can all see that this is one of the intentions, of course, of the agricultural district and stuff that do come from farms. I think there are definite ways that we can all work together to make sure that these things are addressed in a good manner and will work for not just the farms, but also for the community members. I myself have spoken with Supervisor Randy on several occasions. He's been over to the farm. Not to speak for him, I know he is here tonight, but I've spoken on several occasions, and he is in support of Lobsterville Farm and what we're doing, and are including into the agricultural district. I know that Williams and Patterson on our piece there is saying both. They're just looking to expand. They're not looking to simply get into the agricultural district, because there's a lot of misconception of it stops the town from doing and enforcing certain codes. It allows a little flexibility for a farm to continue to grow and provide, as we are trying to do locally. So again, with that, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the members of the farming community that have helped get us here. And hopefully everybody can see how important farming and agriculture is truly to our small county, and to keep that into consideration that we are a small county, but we do play a very, very big part in our community's lives, and that's just what we're trying to do here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to clarify something with White Oak Apiary. Michael Bruin owns, not sure how many, 8 or more acres on Gage Road, also in Brewster, where he has the bulk of his product. So the property on Brewster Hill Road is considered an add-on, so that is enhancing his business. Although it is small, the add-ons are something that the agricultural district looks at and is able to include. As far as Rainmaker, when he sold his property, he no longer had any property in agricultural district. So Rainmaker East is not an add-on. And the same thing with Barndoor. Although I understand the benefits of a beneficial ownership, each entity is considered separately an agricultural district. So there's not another Barndoor that this present one would be considered an add-on to.
Anyone else?
I just want to clarify that point. That a farm operation can piggyback off of other obligations. So even if your farm operation is leasing land to an existing farm operation, if you and the owner were not part of that existing farm operation. So I own 50 acres and I lease to a farm operation, and they come and they farm on my land. If I applied to the district and this leased entity was an ongoing farm operation, I would qualify. So saying that the ownership has to be exactly the same name in order to qualify for an agricultural district is inaccurate. An owner can add on property and they can be working in an ongoing farm operation with a different entity structure with the same beneficial owner and can apply as for inclusion in the ag district as an operation that's been existing in our county. And this happens all the time. We have paying operations that lease land from multiple separate owners, and that paying operation is an ongoing farm operation. It's a different entity than the owner of the property, but the property qualifies based upon the ongoing farm operation. So that's a structure that's existed in ag markets for since the beginning of time and the beginning of ag markets, and we call it collectively piggybacking, but you can work in conjunction with other farm operations in order to apply and qualify for agricultural district.
Is there anyone else?
My name is Jessica Garrett, also from Southeast.
point out what seems to be a large misconception about how the agricultural district supports farms and the zoning laws for the towns that they're part of. It in no way allows the farm or the owners of the farm to skirt around zoning laws or building codes or anything that don't have anything to do with farming. So it's not like I can put a giant addition on my house and not go to the town for all the permits, all the zoning laws, all the things. It also only protects sound farming practices. So if you're to put any of the applications, parcels into the agricultural district, and something comes up between that farm and the town, and it gets to the point where they need to bring in the state ag markets team, if that farm is not using sound agricultural practices, they're going to side with the town. They're not going to side with the town, with the farm. So it's not something that you need to worry about putting these farms into the agricultural district and they getting burnt by them doing all of these nasty things on property. If the town still has a problem with the stuff that's going on the property, they still have the ability to come to us and tell us that we're doing something wrong. We're not getting around all of the zoning laws. And I've noticed that that seems to be a very large misconception that once we're in the ag district, that we just, none of the rules apply to us. That's not. Thank you.
Anyone else who hasn't had the opportunity to speak? Thank you.
Francis Rush, Putnam Valley, New York, Rush Family Farm. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the legislature for your efforts. Hopefully tonight we vote your support, and then we ask for support as well. So I just want to say thank you to the Ag Board, to the Ag Committee for your folks. Thank you for your time.
First, I just want to say that I'm thrilled to hear all of the glowing comments and representation on both sides of the room for the Ag District. We've come a long way. Especially, I'm hearing different words today than I've heard from the same people in other settings. So it's nice to see that we have certainly begun to get an understanding of what this Ag District actually is. But as it relates to you guys have a very important job tonight. And I want to be clear, I envy you. And I think by now it's no surprise to any of you that I hope to join you one day. But I envy you because you now have an important decision. A lot of the reason we're here tonight, a lot of the reason we made it this far, is because of farms like Ridge Ranch, who took up a fight to make sure that the residents of this county no longer had to fight against their government. And you guys have done a remarkable job of understanding what that fight meant, of understanding where that fight has brought us, and understanding what that job means today. Okay? The good news is, you do not have to make these decisions alone. You do not have to take this tough job of charting a new course for what Ag District means and what it means for Putnam County, and do that by yourself. We have the Putnam County Agricultural Board. We have a volunteer board. And that board exists expressly to help you guys, the legislature, to serve as your advisory body of agricultural experts. This way, the legislators, year in, year out, don't have to put on their hats of, is this really a farm? Is this not really a farm? Does it really qualify? Does it not qualify? You have a board of volunteers, of experts, who are willing to do this. We know, you guys know more than most, how difficult it is for this county to fill paying jobs for the county. And yet you have a board full of volunteers, experts, willing to give you their advice to make sure that things get done the right way. And the good thing is that if you don't know, if there is confusion, you have the opportunity to give them clear guidance on what it is you're looking for. Tonight starts that journey. So all I ask you is use them. Use your agricultural board. Use these volunteers who have put time in set processes, follow those processes to get us here tonight on the backs of farms and ranches like Ridge Ranch. They want to help. They take this seriously. I've been to an agro meeting. I've seen how it operates. And if there's confusion, give them the guidance of what you need to see. They want to contribute. They want to be useful. That is what we hope when we have these boards and we ask people to come here. And we're not giving them money in return. We're asking them to volunteer their time and their expertise. And these folks have done that. So I envy you for the new course. You guys get the chart tonight. And I'm glad you don't have to do it alone. So don't do it alone. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. A lot of really great comments here this evening. With that, I'm going to end the public comment section on our agenda